Now I'd like to introduce to you to launch the front pages of Inspiration 60, our front page editor, Heather Moody.
The first thing I had to do was to read all the letters from our Issue 1 subscribers, the very loyal subscribers that have been with us all those 15 years. And Margie had asked them via the internet or the web letter to tell us how their lives had changed or developed during the time that they had been subscribing to Inspirations. And it's been of no surprise to you to know that a lot of them had families that grew up. They had grandchildren that they were able to embroider for, put all those little rosebuds on their garments and fulfil their embroidery wishes. Others had found that Inspirations had helped them through very difficult times, and we know that we get letters and evidence of that so often, that embroidery, just someone indulging in their own piece of embroidery will help them through a difficult time, or else the communication and the comfort of working with other people who enjoy the same activity. But all of those letters are just so heartwarming and such a wonderful response. I'm sure Margie must be really delighted to know what an impact that she has had on these people, and just so many more. There are more. Obviously, we haven't included every letter that was received. So that is the first thing. We have 4 pages of those letters that we culled from all of those that were received. The second story that we have is of the ATCs, or the Artist Trading Cards, and you've probably read about those in previous issues, and in this one we have the results of the competition. I'm sorry, there was a slight hiccup with the captions and the wrong person is identified as the winner there, but the results are all on that page, and they will also be on the website. We have 3 pages of illustrations of those ATCs, and there are just hundreds of them, and I'm sure that they're still being made. And this is one other form of communication that embroiderers have with each other. They just can't stop themselves from making these little cards and sending them off to people and receiving others in exchange. It's just a compulsion, it seems. Likewise, the envelopes have, I don't know if any of you have heard of mail art. I certainly hadn't, but one of our contributors, Peter Macmillan from New Zealand, is heavily into the mail art, which is the idea is that you embroider an envelope, piece of fabric, and a cloth that is what do you call it, Ada cloth that you count on, and you can embroider the name of the recipient, a little decoration. You can have a theme. The lining of the envelope will carry through the theme, and you send this off with a letter or a Christmas card or a birthday card to one of your embroidery friends. And of course you can imagine how that chain develops, with correspondence going in all directions. So Peter has given us several examples of those envelopes, and we've shown you how to make one of them, and I'm sure that you'll have lots of inspiration from that for making others of your own creation. Then we have a story from England, from a story about a wonderful quilter called Jackie Harvey, who you will see in our next issue. We have one of her creations, this beautiful quilt, a most unusual style of quilting. And Jackie has just come to quilting later in life and has developed this style which has won her prizes internationally all over the world. And we have several examples of her work in the story, but I strongly recommend that you go to her website if you are able to and look at other examples of her work. Read her blog. She writes a diary of her activities. She does a lot of entering of competitions, judging of competitions, and the way she writes is very entertaining. You get quite involved in it. But I'm sure that you'll love to see that quilt in the next issue and tackle that. Then we have our last in the Year of the Country stories. That's a story about Annette Drysdale from central New South Wales. Some of you may know Annette through her embroidery books. She's written 2 books in the past on botanical or native flora, and she has also had her work published in, which one, Marion? One of the A to Zs? Yes, she's in the next issue as well, but one of our A to Zs... sorry, I really should have... I probably mentioned it here. If I put my glasses on, I probably know. Let's see. Don't know if I did mention it. Anyway, Annette is the quintessential country lady who lives on a farm with a beautiful garden. She's in tune with nature. She just absorbs all the beauty around her and then recreates that in her embroidery. So she's written us a little story about her life in the country, and we have one of her beautiful stump work projects in the next issue, which is something to look forward to. And finally, we have yet another instalment from our Dutch contributor, Margriet Beemsterber, who loves to travel and write about embroidery from other places, and this time she's gone to Morocco. So you can imagine the colourful story that she's been able to write about that. I was particularly interested because as I was getting all the information in for that, my daughter was planning a trip to Morocco. So I kept communicating with Margriet and saying, how safe is it? You know, can I let my daughter go? And, she said, oh, it's wonderfully safe. Absolutely, and don't worry about it. She'll love it. You'll be so glad she went. Well, it wasn't quite like that for my daughter, particularly once she came to eat Moroccan chicken on one occasion. That wiped out 2 or 3 days of her holiday. But anyway, Margriet's story is full of very positive things, glorious photographs, and then a project incorporating an aspect of Moroccan embroidery as well. So that's our little pocket project to match the envelope one. So I hope you enjoy all those stories, that you get into the communicating in the mail art and ATCs. And again, I'll just say how heartwarming it was to be able to put together the front pages for this issue. And I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.